We on.
All right. Am I loud enough?
Are you? It's like if you're on the radio.
All right. So, peace to everyone. Thanks for having us, Crook.
Introduce yourselves if you don't
Blessed to
mind.
be here. My name's Treece, Miss Snake Chama.
Mike Curry.
We're here, Unseen Hands Media, and gonna give you some tips and tools on credit, how to understand what the credit process is, how to understand your credit report, and how to repair your credit, build credit, all that good stuff. So first off, I want to explain what credit is. So credit is money that's loaned to you. So it's borrowed money, and the people who are giving you the money are trusting you to pay it back. So a lot of times people are applying for credit cards and things like that, and they don't have any established credit, and they don't get approved because it's the lender not really feeling confident and trusting that you're going to pay it back. So the importance of understanding credit is that it's money that's being loaned to you. So it's borrowed money, and the three things that you want to be mindful of is the interest rates, the terms and conditions, and any fees that might come along with that line of credit. So the credit scores is another important thing to be mindful of. So the credit score ranges from 300 to 850. So anything over 690 is considered pretty good. Fair credit is around 620, and you can get, you can usually get like approved for home loans at a 620. But there's a lot of other criteria that you have to take into consideration when you're going for loans. So the idea about credit is to establish credit, because that's what's going to help you with jobs, with getting houses, any kind of additional loans. So that's understanding the credit process. The difference between debit and credit is debit is your money, credit is the lender's money.
It's other people's money. So let's just say, for example, that you get a line of credit for like $5,000. That's actually the bank's money. So you got to be responsible when you're using the bank's money, because it's an interest rate that goes along with it, and they usually calculate the interest rate based on how your credit is. So the poorer your credit is, the higher the interest rate will be.
It means you're more risk.
So you have more risk. So you could even have good credit, but a thin credit profile, the interest rate still would be high. So you basically want to build your credit responsibly. And the best way to, if you have no credit, one of the best ways to build your credit is through authorized user or secured credit card. I'd rather prefer a secured credit card, because you actually putting up your own money, and usually when a person put up their own money, they're more responsible than using other people's money. So how a secured credit card works is, let's just say you go to a bank or credit union and you ask do they have what type of programs they have, and they tell you they got a secured credit card program, and you use like $500. So so you could use up to that $500, and then after a certain amount of time, either 90 days or 6 months, depending on the banking institution that you deal with, they usually match it. So now you're 500, and then it's 1,000. They will give you your 500 back, and now you're using
their money.
And they
So
make it from secured to unsecured.
So it's good when you get a secured credit card to always think and be mindful of, okay, so if I'm willing to put up $400 of my own money, once that's 6 months to a year or whatever, and I pay off my money responsibly, just think they're gonna match it. So now you probably get a credit line of 800. If you did 600, probably 1,200. So you're basically building a relationship with the banks or the credit unions. That's a huge part of any kind of credit management. You want to build relationships with the banks, good relationships with the banks.
It worked for me. But I want to ask a question real quick, because
Sure,
you mentioned about the interest rates. So when you start your credit, is your interest rates higher, and then if your credit score goes up, do your interest rates go lower? Do they just give you a lower interest rate because your credit score is higher?
I mean, like, it's higher. It's more than one factor. It's not just because your credit score is higher. They look at the age of it, the age of your credit, your credit score,
The utilization.
the utilization. So a lot of people don't really know or understand what the credit utilization is, and that credit utilization is 30% of your credit score, of your FICO score. So if you got $5,000 credit limit and you use 50% of that,
You're gonna have a high
that's high.
utilization.
Your utilization is high.
You wanna stay under 30%.
They want it to stay under 30%, but
so hard.
it's really
Yeah.
under 10%.
10% is you'll see
You're
your credit
killing it.
score.
Yeah,
You're killing it.
that will help
I
bump
did
your
a
I
credit
keep hearing
I
that
did
10%
2%.
everywhere. Everyone keeps saying 10%.
I did 2% one time and my score jumped drastically. So
Yes.
like, if you could really like get in the habit of understanding, do not go over that 30% mark. And that's
So
like
pretty
if you have
much-
$1,000, don't go over 330.
Yeah,
Got that?
yeah, you don't want to go over 300. You know, really,
I'd be
like
using
how I
it.
did it when I first started with this with building my credit. I was like, I would buy something that I normally buy, like a hat,
Right.
every month, and then my credit score just rose, and I'm like, you know, all that for
you
buying
was
a
only
hat.
buying a hat.
Yeah, I was only buying a hat.
You weren't buying a whole bunch of stuff.
So
and
my
overusing
credit
it.
utilization might have been 1%, 2%. You know, and at the time, my credit score was only $300.
Alright.
Peace. It was only $300. So
What's up, brother?
Peace.
So
You
you
here
only
for the
want
Money
to
Talk
really
Tuesdays? You here for Money Talk
use-
Tuesdays or Smoothie?
Not money talks.
Okay.
Money Talk Tuesdays.
You got Rodney in the house.
Hey Rodney.
How you doing?
Talk about this
like,
credit.
yeah.
So we just was basically we'll double back real quick. Basically explaining what credit is. It's money that's loaned to you, borrowed money with the expectation that you're gonna pay it back. So for example, like some people have no credit and they have a hard time getting credit. It's because that trust isn't there with the lender. So that's like just put yourself in a position like me and you, like you say, Treece, can you give me $500? I need to know that you're gonna pay me back. So it's, you kind of got to think of it in that aspect. And if you don't have credit, Mike was just going on to explain how you could establish credit. And two of those
Like you know,
options
it's
was-
just different ways to build your credit. Like, you know, I explained the secured credit card, whereas you using your own money. So say you go to, like, let's just say Bank of America, and you was like, do y'all got a secured credit card? They say yeah, and you put $500 on it. You using your money to build your credit.
Mhm.
So
it's your own
after
money.
like 6 months, they usually match it, so it'll be 1,000 now, and they give you 500 back. So now your credit limit is at 500, and they make it from secured to unsecured, where now you ain't using your own money, you using their money, because you showed a pattern of responsibility using basically your own money.
And then you also start getting offers.
Yeah, you start getting offers
So
from other banks.
Two good secured credit cards. There's Capital One has one, and there's Discover It. Those are two good ones to start off with. And
You said which ones? Capital.
Capital One Platinum
yep, Capital
and
One.
Discover
Platinum.
It. But Discover It might be better than Capital One because they got reward points.
And that's a whole nother ball game with credit
the
cards.
rewards.
Yeah.
If you could get a
Got
credit card
Discover card.
Yeah.
with rewards, then you can get your cash back. You want to always strive to do that. And another good thing, excuse me, about the secured credit card is a lot of times if you're working with like financial institutes, you won't get they won't do an inquiry on your credit report. It will be like a transition to a credit card. So you'll start off with a secured credit card, and then you can transition into the actual credit card. So it will save you from getting that ding on your credit report.
And then that's one thing that, you know, once you transition from secured to unsecured, you don't want to get greedy with it. A lot of people get greedy and they start seeing these offers come in and they start taking up the offers. You know, maybe they're on hard times or whatever, but they start taking up the offers. But when you start applying for different credit cards, you put it inquiries on your credit report, and now
And that's
banks
like-
look at that. So now you might somebody might put you on to game or whatever, and they be like, yo, go to Navy Federal, they giving off big loans or whatever, or big credit limits, and you go and they deny you. They might deny you because you got 5 or 6 inquiries in a short period of time.
Right.
That's showing greed. That's showing
Or
irresponsibility.
that you don't have enough money
Looks like
Yeah.
you're
to pay your
thirsty.
other
Yeah,
ones.
the other
Yeah.
ones,
And
you know.
and you over here trying
So
to get
you
more.
want to be mindful of when you applying for credit. You want to make sure the cars that you do decide to get, is they fit for you. You want to look at, do they offer any reward points? So just imagine a credit card you spending $1,000 a month, you know, and you getting points for it. You could redeem them points and get cash back,
And then put it
or
on
you
your
could
credit.
redeem them points and take travel, or you know, do things. So you really want to be conscious. And some credit cards don't offer reward points, you know. So
You look at
you
the
really
interest
want to
rate,
be mindful of
the terms and
what you're doing.
conditions and the
Do
fees.
some of the secured credit cards offer reward points?
No, they usually don't. The only one
No.
really Discover It.
Discover
but the
It,
other
look
ones
into that.
usually
I think
don't.
They give you cash rewards with Discover It.
Yeah.
It's not a credit card that I have, but from just doing my due diligence, I heard that it's a really good,
Real-
secure
Yeah.
credit
So
card.
I got a question. So I got a card that, you know, a Delta card for
Yeah.
flying and stuff like that, but I haven't used it yet.
And they give you
right?
some bonus points,
They
right?
give you
60
bonus
to
points
80,000.
But I haven't used it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If you don't use it, does something happen?
Yeah.
Nah, it's
you gotta
a
use your
time
cards.
frame.
You gotta
So
use your
for
cards.
example, say they give you 60 to 80,000 bonus points, but they might be like, you gotta spend $4,000 within 90 days.
Right.
So now you times 4,000, you divide 4,000 into 3 months, and then that's how much
But
you
you have
should
to
use
use
each
your
month.
credit
But you gotta
cards
use
too.
it.
I'm just
Or
saying,
they'll
like,
close them
what-
on you. They
that's
could
what
close
I'm saying.
them.
So how long would it take before they close? Because I think I've had it like about
I mean,
close
it,
to 2 months.
Yeah, nah, it ain't gonna
Nah,
be
like
short
that.
like that. Probably
Okay.
like a year or so.
Oh, okay.
Cause
So,
they,
so I'm good then.
yeah,
you know,
because they look at the
'cause I ain't-
inactivity.
I ain't want to take a
Yeah.
trip yet. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I'm dealing with my business. And
But
stuff
you can
like that.
also use that card like a regular
Like a
credit
regular
card. as
credit
well.
card,
Yeah,
but-
you know, it's just that
Right.
that's just
Just
the
buy
that's
something
just the
small
company.
and pay it off. And a
Oh,
good
just
trick
buy
to
something
do is
small.
if you buy something like say for $80, then pay off $60, and then for the next 3 months pay five. Break that last piece of money down. You know
So
what I
it's
mean?
still
So it's
showing,
still showing,
um,
and then you know that will help boost your credit too.
You know what else can help boost your credit? The payment days. They got 2 days. They got the statement and the due date. So say your statement date, because they say it on your account. Say your statement date is the 16th, and your due date is the 19th, right? So you want to pay it
Like in that
like a week. I usually
Before.
do it 2 weeks.
Yeah, I always pay it before.
Pay it, you know.
I did it the week. and
So
it
when
boosted,
your statement date, when your due date come, it
yeah.
shows that you have no balance. So
Right.
now, or low balance. So now when you look at your credit report for that next month, it shows no balance.
Right.
You know, if you pay it on a due date, it might not post.
Right.
You said what comes
until,
first,
like,
the statement date or the due date?
Statement date, then the due
statement
date.
date,
Then the due
then the due
Yeah.
date. And then normally I try to make my payment like once I get my new bill or whatever, I just try to make the payment in the same week, and then I notice that it does something to my credit as well. But that's just one way that if you don't have credit, you can establish credit, or if you have credit, you're trying to improve your credit, you can get that. But there's also something called
Authorized users. Like say
Mhm.
for example,
Somebody co-signs.
say for
Yeah.
example, Crook got a 700 credit score, but you got no credit score, right? Let's just say you came out of jail, right? You've been locked up for 10 years. I'm just give you an
That was
example.
10 years ago.
Like you get out of jail, you got no credit score. You know you don't got no credit score, but Crook's your brother, same mother, same father. You know he doing everything right with his credit. He got a 700 plus credit score, and he be like, I can add you as an authorized user.
He doesn't have to
But
even give you the credit card.
I'm not gonna give you the card.
'Cause
This
you're
is
not
a
gonna buy me
tactic to
out.
help you build your credit. So he got a 700 credit score, 700 plus credit score. He had his car for like 10 years, and He paying all his bills responsible. He got no late payments and nothing.
So
Right?
now
His payments.
you
So now you benefiting from him having good
So does,
scores.
so
Yeah.
with his
And,
credit
yeah,
You can
and it would
automatically
raise
go up.
his.
700?
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Not-
it won't be
Not
700.
the same as yours,
It
but
won't
it's
be,
gonna.
but
It'll go up.
It will
it'll
go
be,
pretty high.
He'll be able
Yeah,
to build.
it
from
have
that.
your credit history.
He'll
so,
have your credit history, and
so
that's a huge
the
part
10
of
years would be on his credit. The limit, say your credit limit was 10,000, it'd be on his. And that, them two factors will help raise his score because he don't got no score.
Now does then he go and apply?
I mean,
for
then
credit?
now he got credit
Now
history.
we got credit history.
So now he got credit history. So now he could go to he don't gotta use the secured credit card. So now he could go to Chase Bank and fill out for a credit card. And they look at his history and they see he got some history. They
What
see
if
he
he
got,
messes up though?
Who?
The new
Then-
kid.
Then
like-
Does it mess up the,
Yeah.
the
it
other
reflects
guys?
Yeah.
it reflects the person. So
Yeah.
that's something to be mindful
That's
of.
right. You
Yeah.
have to make
On
sure
both
it's
pieces.
So
really.
so you
But-
really gotta
but
make
listen,
sure that he's on point.
I tell all
you know?
parents to do that with your children because at 16, certain credit unions and institutions will allow you to put your child on. First of all, you should get your child like a high school checking account. You know what I mean? I know this is off when I talk about checking, but this is important
No,
for
very
parents.
important.
Put your children as authorized user. My son doesn't even know he's an authorized user, and by the time he gets out of high school, he's already gonna have a decent credit history
Yeah.
established. So that's
Right.
gonna help him, to establish
on,
credit
yeah.
and start doing his thing. And you could take him off. You know what I mean? If you wanted to,
Oh,
but
so you could.
Yeah, you can
once-
take them
You
off
can take 'em on
whenever.
and
So
off
once,
whenever you
like,
want.
let's say they're using your credit, and then they start to build their stuff.
You can
then
take
you
them
could
off.
just take them off
Yeah.
that whatever card you put him on or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and then now he's just going.
Yeah,
now,
he
now
already
would that
got
affect his
No.
credit now.
No, because he already got an established credit score. So the whole thing with authorized users is you want to utilize that to help someone else build their credit. And then once they have a credit, of course you want to teach them how to build it, just like how you learn how to build yours. And then it's just like you raising a child, and once you feel he could go out on his own,
Right.
you already taught him to do what needs to be done. You know?
Does that child also help the actual creditor?
No, not
Like-
really.
Like him and his son. Does his son help his credit score go up?
no, he's
No,
gonna be
no,
helping.
no, no.
No?
It's
The,
just,
the authorized user is
it's
the one
just-
who reaps the benefit.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it's like you're letting somebody piggyback off of your
Okay.
history.
You
So
could-
if he
you could
furthers
only, you
his-
could only hurt yourself
Yeah,
by doing it.
and-
You
and-
won't.
okay.
You won't really gain.
Yeah,
from
no,
it.
you won't really
So-
gain.
So now when you're saying that, and you mentioned Navy Federal, because I know about the trade lines
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So is that the same thing with the trade lines? Once you do a trade line and it shows that you have a good history and stuff like that. Like, do them trade lines? Does that like really work?
See, that's the
So,
business credit,
like,
Mike.
So as far as
Business credit
with
guy.
like paying for trade lines, you talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah, it works. It works, but it's only temporarily. It's just authorized users. You using somebody else's credit.
Yeah, but that's
For a
the
short
thing,
period
but
of time.
It's sometimes easier to find that
Yeah, you can
online
find that.
than to find a person
Yeah.
that's willing to.
That's willing,
You
and
know
a,
what I'm
and a
saying?
lot
You
of
can do
people.
secured loans too, same
Nah,
like with the secured credit cards.
But a lot of
Thanks to-
people,
thanks to,
usually do that, and like with the authorized users, you want to. There's three components. It's the age, so you might look online for companies that sell trade lines, and they might have the age, but they don't have the limit. It might be 12 years with a $2,500 limit. You really want it to be over.
Yeah, no, I
8,000.
mean, I've seen some
You know?
sites that I was interested in. I
Yeah.
saw there was one that was like up to 40,000,
Yeah.
and the credit history was like
2
6,
years.
7 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it
that's
was-
good. That's considered good.
And,
But
it was like $800-900
Yeah.
to get that.
yep. Yeah.
But now, how often? I mean, like, let's say I did that, right?
Yeah. They usually have you
How long
on
would
those
it
for
take
90
for
days.
you
Like 90
to-
days.
like not
99.
for you to see
Like
like
90
the
days.
offer?
Yeah. It usually take 90 days for you to see improvement in your credit score. So, but usually a lot of people only utilize those if they're trying to get loans for like houses, cars, because your credit score might be zip and it might shoot up to 720 within that 90 days. Usually after 30 days. So that's when you go for, yo, I need to get a car loan, because they look, oh, his credit score is this, oh,
After
this,
740, yeah,
you
like
know?
excellent too.
You know, so you really want, but then once they take you off, it dip down a little bit.
Right. So once you that trade line takes you off,
Yeah, it dips down a little
it
bit.
dips down.
Yeah.
But if you already, let's say, apply for a $40,000 credit
Loan.
limit
Loan, yeah.
and you already got
You
that,
gotta
it's just
just-
up to you
gotta-
to
gotta-
just
you gotta
pay the
pay it,
thing
yeah.
back.
See, a lot of people use trade lines, authorized uses trade lines because they want to get low interest rates. You know, so without it, interest rate might be high.
Mm.
With it, it might be the lowest of the low. It all depends on what you want to do with it. You just don't want to get it just to build your score,
Right.
because you could go the secure route and it take you 90 to 6 months to get where you need to be. You see the difference? A lot of people use that, the authorized users trade lines that they pay to get something fast.
Right.
If you know you looking at a car and you want the lowest interest rate, you're gonna get your credit score to where it needs to be,
Right.
so you can get that. They don't look after the fact, they look during the fact.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the secure, I was telling him because I did the secure credit card with my bank, and that's
Yeah.
how I started to build my credit.
Yeah.
So after like 6 months, I had the Apple card,
Yeah,
and then the Apple card went up, kept going up. They
Yeah.
started me with 500, then it went to 1,200.
Like every 6 months,
then
they'll
to
give you an
3,000,
increase too, like on your credit card if you're doing pretty good. They usually review your portfolio. and
Cause
see
I was
where
like
you are.
not asking for more. They just automatically
Yeah.
nah, like they do it
Yeah.
automatically, cause they show,
Yeah.
you show them responsibility.
Yeah.
So let's just say you use it 50%. They ain't gonna give you no credit limit increase. They ain't gonna do it automatically. You might request it, but when you request it, that's when it's another hard increase.
And a good thing for Navy, if you deal with Navy Federal, is when you get to a point where they're giving you the increase, you can always switch cards, and they won't usually
It's called
do
a product change.
They won't use do like a pull on your credit.
Yeah.
if you change cards.
Yeah,
Now,
so
why would you change the card?
because
certain
it might
cards have
have
different
better
benefits.
perks.
Or you
So,
might have a card
yeah.
that is being offered to you. So
Like
how do
one
you
card
switch
might
it?
have a cash
just
reward.
call
It's
them.
called a product change. You just
Yeah, you call them
you
You
hit them
call
up.
who
Navy Federal.
and tell them.
You want to do a product change.
Product change when you're going for your increase. So like usually every 6 months they'll give you an increase. They review you and give you an increase. And during that time or that period, you could always look at your statement too and see when you're getting increases. And around that time, just give them a call and say I'm interested, in a product change, and they'll either say yes or no. Most likely they'll
I'm
say
saying,
yes.
so if they say yes, then you call another credit card company.
Nah. It's
No,
usually
this is
with them.
dealing
So
with a particular
yeah,
credit
it's a company,
union.
a bank. So
A bank.
So
We're talking about
it's a
banking.
financial institution. So let's just say, for example, Navy Federal got 5 different credit cards, right? But each credit card has their own perk.
Okay.
So say you went from the secured credit card and they made it unsecured.
They have like a cash
and they
rewards.
got like a cash reward. They bump you to that.
Okay. So
But
they
you might
say
not like the
5
cash
different
rewards.
ones,
Yeah.
and you can just say,
I'm not
I
sure
want
off
to
the
switch
top
to
of my
this
head
other
how
card.
many there is, but I know there's
because of
yeah.
whatever benefit
Yeah.
it has, you
Yeah.
might want to switch to it.
Yeah.
and they'll
They
switch
might got
you
higher
over.
limits.
Right,
You feel me?
right.
So say, for example, they bump you to the cash
Some might have
rewards.
cash back.
To the cash rewards,
yeah.
and the cash rewards limit is only 8,500. But they might got the Go rewards, and that might be 20,000. The flagship might be 40,000, and you looking at the perks, and you might be like, I want to do a product change to the flagship. When you do that, they might raise your credit score. They could raise it. Now you getting reward points for everything you purchase with the credit card.
I like the cash rewards. That's one of the credit cards that I like because I get cash back, and then once I get my cash back, I just apply that to my balance.
To your balance,
So it's
yeah.
like they're
Yeah,
helping
'cause
me pay them
that's how
off.
Discover was like,
Mhm.
boom. I had like $20, $20-something
Yeah.
in cash back or rewards, and then I ended up when I go to pay my bill, they're like, you want to use your cash rewards as part of the balance payment, and then I use their money again to pay them back. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
And,
So
and, you know, and that's the key. You know, once you understand the credit game, you know.
And then like once you really start freaking it, you get you a loan from them, and you pay. If you got a high credit card balance, you can use that loan to pay off that credit card to boost your credit. Now you're paying on a loan. You get what I'm saying? And most likely in a couple months they're gonna get that balance up. So there's it's really all about building good relationships.
Is it like really building a credit? Should people be concerned with taking their time, like doing the process and figuring like in the next 2 years of me doing these little steps, I'm gonna get to a point of boom, I'm set right now.
So that brings us to our next topic. Let's talk about the credit report, because I think that's gonna tie into everything. Because first you need to know where you stand. So everybody needs to get their a credit report on hand. You can get your free credit report. Legally, the website that that must give you a credit report is annualcreditreport.com. You got that, cousin?
I'm writing it down right now.
Annualcreditreport.com, right? So what happens is you can go on there and you can get copies of every credit report, and there's three
for free
credit report agencies.
Once a year.
They're called CRA. So there's 3 credit report agencies: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax.
Right.
So go on annualcreditreport.com. You can call them and you can mail them, and I'll give you the information too.
I use Credit Karma myself.
Now we're not talking about Credit Karma too, but annualcreditreport.com is gonna give you your credit report. It's not gonna give you your credit scores, because we're just gonna focus on what's on your report.
Okay.
And then there's Credit Karma. Now Credit Karma is gonna give you a figure, like it will say like your credit score is this, but it's not gonna be accurate. The only thing that's accurate with Credit Karma is the inquiries, and anybody who's pulling data from your credit card. They're really good with sending you notifications when there's been changes or alterations in your credit card. And they also have a lot of tips and tools that they'll push out through emails to help you with like understanding how to build your credit. They'll say, oh, you can qualify for this credit card, or don't always like pay attention to that stuff, because you should have your own plan. But as far as like if they send you an email saying someone just pulled your credit, most likely someone just pulled your credit.
Yeah, and you know they're accurate on that, and the
really
only
accurate
reason
on
why Credit Karma ain't accurate on the credit scores because they don't use FICO. They use a system called Vantage.
So
You know,
Experian,
a lot.
so Experian is better.
No,
to
well,
check
yeah,
your-
Experian because they use
Experian,
FICO,
yeah.
They use
but you
FICO.
gotta pay.
You have to pay.
I pay monthly.
Yeah,
for
that's the
Experian.
number one. It's 5-star
Experian.
rating is accurate. So if you go to Experian.com and you use their credit monitoring service and you see your score at 750 FICO, that's what your credit
That's
score
the
is.
real one.
Now you might go to Credit Karma and it'd be like 800, and you
Don't
be like,
listen to Credit
but
Karma.
it's because they're using different.
See that?
Yeah. So you know,
Listen to Credit Karma for certain things,
definitely,
but
I use it.
See,
Me
that's the first
personally,
time I ever heard that.
yeah.
So,
Me
you know,
personally, I use Experian because
Experian.
I use
they're
Experian
accurate.
too.
I'm deleting the
I'm
app
not
as we
using-
speak.
No, don't
No,
delete it.
no,
For
you
some
need that
reason-
app.
For some reason, I
No,
don't
I
use
got
Experian,
Experian.
so I'm glad you told me this
Yeah.
because I've been using
The
Credit
Credit
Karma
Karma?
more than
Yeah.
Experian.
See, a lot of
and I
people-
pay for the
a lot of
There's a
people don't
benefit
know.
of Credit Karma is that they're gonna let you know when you get them inquiries, and like I have both. I pay attention to my Credit Karma, not to the scores,
Right.
because they're not accurate with the
I
scores.
pay attention to the information that they
Yeah,
give, minus
Yeah,
the
they
scores.
give a
So
lot of
they might,
information.
you might see, like Credit Karma might hit you up or send you a notification, be like, "Did you open a new account?" And you be like, "Nah."
And then you go.
And now you
check.
go check it, and or they might be like, "You had a limit increase," and you look, and now you know that
And they'll be
your
like,
bank
hey,
gave
you're
you
doing good. You just went up
increase.
10 points or
Right,
something.
right,
Then you
right.
can go to
So
the
it's
Experian
the
and see
information, not
what
the
happened. You
score.
might have went up 5, but you know, it will give you a heads up. But then, okay, so the 3 different credit bureaus, so everyone knows: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Annualcreditreport.com. Then when you get your credit report, you need to examine your credit report. First, you're gonna look at your personal information. So that's gonna be like your addresses, telephone numbers,
Your name.
A lot of times there will be incorrect data on there that will be like they might spell Alves, my last name, with a V-E-Z, or have a telephone number I never used, or address in another state. Those are things that you are now gonna list on your discrepancy report. So I tell everyone,
That's from the
credit report.
credit report.
So we got our
Annual
3 credit
report.
reports.
Yeah.
Yep.
That when you see everything,
The
there,
only thing that's
you
not on there
fix
is your
whatever's
credit score.
not right.
Yep.
They don't give you your
They'll
credit
give you-
score.
So you'll get your 3 credit
You gotta
reports
pay.
and a highlighter. Different information is gonna be on different credit reports because certain businesses report to certain credit bureaus. So you have to be mindful that some things are gonna pop up maybe on Equifax that aren't gonna be visible on TransUnion, or vice versa. So you need to really get your 3 credit reports and get your highlight, and look at your personal information. Then you're gonna look at your balances on your different loans or credits, or anything that you might owe. Make sure that stuff's accurate. If you know, like, you've been paying Verizon and it's not decreasing, then highlight that, because now you have a discrepancy and you need to let either Verizon know or the credit bureaus know that, hey, this needs to be updated. So that's one thing that you could be mindful of. And then you have like the inquiries.
Yeah, so with the inquiries, is like, let's just say they give you a hard inquiry. It's not gonna be on all 3 reports. It might just be on TransUnion.
Right.
Or it might be on Equifax, or it might be Experian. The only one that do all 3 is Capital One. And the inquiries stay on for 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
So inquiries stay on 2 years, and like
Wow.
collections stay on for 7 years. Bankruptcy is 10 years. So be mindful of that.
If you get sent to collection.
So say I had a couple inquiries, and
And
those
that's
who,
considered a negative
Yeah.
when you credit report.
so like people go for a car and then they go to like Honda, and Honda want to hit up all these banks. They're pulling your credit every time.
Right.
You're gonna have all these inquiries. They're not gonna fall off for 2 years. So then when me as a lender, I look at your credit report and I see that, like, dang, like, why do you got all these inquiries? That's something that they're mindful of, like when you're going to get a house, or you know.
You usually
Yeah.
want to have like 2 or less inquiries, like when
Isn't
you're
there a
going for
way-
loans and stuff like that.
Isn't there a way when you go to these places you could tell them to not hit it, like
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
tell
you
them
could
to-
always. You have to sign for someone to
Yeah.
do that. They can't just like.
Yeah, you gotta
You never
sign.
realize when you're doing it. Like
Yeah,
if you
'cause
go,
they ask you,
they be
tell
like, "Do
you,
you want?
this is
I'm gonna
be
try to get you a loan."
Nah, sometimes
they
they don't
don't
even
tell
tell
you
you.
I'm gonna hit up
They-
20 people.
No, sometimes they don't even really tell you, to be honest. I mean nowadays, yeah, but years back they really wouldn't volunteer that. You just see it. But now that people is more conscious of their credit reports and building their credit, they know people gonna ask that question, so they will volunteer that.
So you gotta. Those are the different things that you just gotta.
All I
look
know
for.
is that I messed up a lot of people's credit score working at JCPenney,
Yeah.
because I would have to like meet a certain quota,
Mhm.
and I had a way of lingoing my way into getting some good reflections on my daily agenda
Yeah.
for my boss at JCPenney.
Yeah, and I remember when I was young, I had a Macy's store card, retail card, and I was like 18, and we went in. They were like, "You want to use cash or credit?" We like, "Oh, we can use credit." They was like, "Yeah." So that's when we all got it. We didn't know nothing about credit, so they calling me, and then I never paid it, so I ended up going to prison and stuff like that. And when I got out of prison,
They
that's
tack
when
late fees,
that's when I
extras, all
realized
that.
I had no credit
But
score.
I thought that after so many years.
Yeah, after
But
7
you
years
have
it
to.
fall off.
Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't. Like sometimes they don't fall off. You have to go. That's why you got to get
Yeah.
your credit report, because sometimes they be slacking at these credit
Okay,
bureaus.
so if 7
So-
years go by.
I mean, the
and it's
collection
still- and it's
agency
still
still
out-
will call you after 7 years, though.
Now,
because
listen.
they want their money.
So the important
But
thing
you
to
can't give
remember
in.
is, like, okay, say Mike owed me Verizon. He owed me 5,000, right? And we're coming on 6 years into him owing me. He didn't make no payment. Now, if Mike turns around and I get him to give me $50, like, okay, let me set you on a $50
Starts in
payment
7
plan.
years.
It starts all
Yeah, it
over
starts
again.
So you gotta just
Wow.
stop
So you
paying.
gotta. So if you're not gonna
completely
pay
for
him,
7
then you
years.
might as well just not pay him. But I always recommend people paying, because it does look good. Like even if you 2-3 years in the game, like show responsibility because it's still gonna, but if you're like towards the end, like do your thing, but I always like, I'm big on like, if you owe somebody, give them their money, like, you know, whether it's 2 years in, 3 years in, cause it's gonna reflect in your credit report. And for someone who's looking at it and they're like, okay, you might have not had it 3 years ago, but now you're responsibly paying it for the last 2 years, you're 5 years in, you know, like, that's what it is. So the inquiries is when somebody pulls your credit. That's when people are trying to get information. That's 2 years. So if you see something on there for 2 years, you highlight it on your credit report. Then the collections and the negative, anything that's in like collections in the negative or whatever, 7 years, you can get it removed after that. Bankruptcy, 10 years. So that's important to know. So when you have your credit report, you got all 3, highlight them. Now you know what you're working with. Now you know what you're going to start disputing. So what you're gonna have to do after that is get into the disputing process. And you can either do it through the business, like Mike could call Verizon and me and say, hey, Treece, can you update the credit report, or can you remove this off my credit? They don't even have to do nothing for 7 years, even if you know what I mean?
Well, after the 7 years, if you ask them to, or you tell them to,
then
they have to do it.
They do. So, but sometimes when you call the businesses, like, it opens up that door that they'll start, like, you know, harassing you and stuff. So I deal with the credit bureau. So I tell everybody, get your 3 credit reports, highlight the information, you know what you're gonna dispute now. Part of the disputing process is you have to identify who you are. So you need to now get a copy of your license, make photocopy of that 3 times, boom, boom, boom. So now you should have 3 piles. You should have your credit reports from each credit reporting agency, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. And now you're gonna have your photocopy of your license, one here, one here, one here. You're making 3 of everything. And then you're gonna need a W-2. A lot of people aren't maybe working or whatever, so you can normally send like a bill, like a
you use a cell phone
lease or something that proves who you are. They gotta identify you 2 ways. So you make 3 copies of that as well. Now, when you're looking at your credit reports, if you know you have receipts or anything that you could help to prove that you've been paying this bill, or to reflect, make sure that, you know, let the credit bureau know that this is inaccurate, you wanna make copies of that and put it in that pile as well. So now you got your identification piece, you got your dispute letters, any receipts, anything that could let them know that this is inaccurate. So then you got your dispute letter, and I made a copy. I'm gonna leave them here for you and your friends. And anybody who comes through, if y'all wanna check it out. It's and I'll leave a couple copies here. So this is just a generic one that you would use. So you put your information, date, full name, all this. This is some of the verbiage that you could use. This is called a dispute letter. I've written this letter to dispute a claim that is falsely listed on my credit report with your bureau. The amounts owed are no longer outstanding for the following items. So this, for example, is for something that's like 7 years old. Like, okay, this is no longer should be on my credit report. Please remove it.
This is like a formal request for them.
Yeah. So you always and you would need to like tweak it, because I only put party owed and amount as if you only had one thing. But if you have multiple things, you would list them. Always include the account number, the amount owed, you know what I mean? And the party that it's owed to. So
and that's where Credit Karma could come into play for the good for you, because it has that information on it. So you could extract that information on how much you owe, what's in collections, the account and stuff like that.
And they do let you do disputes through them too.
Yeah,
that's
you
another
could do,
thing.
You know, they got
but I'm not sure how beneficial it is. I've done them on through Credit Karma, and it gives you the option. And I think I've even may have done it on Experian the lazy way without mailing. But the idea is to really do it this way, because after you get your letters together, and I got some letters here for y'all too.
And make sure you get it notarized.
Just so you have an example.
Right. That's more
official.
Yeah.
This is the
and it's hard
addresses.
to dispute that.
TransUnion. I'm gonna leave this with you guys. Experian, that's the addresses, and Equifax, for example. You know what I mean? Just so you know, anybody, you know. So.
And you could dispute
There's another
anything.
copy,
You
and
could
I'll
dispute
leave them here for
old
you.
addresses. You could dispute Miss
Yeah, 'cause sometimes I be
your
having-
names.
They be showing
beats.
addresses that I'm like,
Yeah.
when was I at that address?
Yeah.
And or
You
I
want to
might have
dispute
but
that?
stayed in
They
Miami
take it off.
for like
Mhm.
a couple of months.
But you
at
can
some
do it the easy way,
location, and
where-
then it keeps popping up on my stuff. Like,
You can
You
also
live in-
call them and tell them to take that off
Yeah,
too.
and then
And
you
they
can put
take it
credit
off right there
freezes
while
too.
you're on the phone.
If it looks like somebody's not like using your credit or something, that's a good thing. You want to check your credit report each year. Every 12 months you're entitled to a free one, just to make sure that nobody's actually using your credit, because there's so much going on right now in the world that people are doing the most.
Yeah, they could use your credit and you won't even know. You know, you might think you use it. My old $40, oh, alright. But then you think like, nah, I don't remember using that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you always want to be conscious and check. Like I check every week with Experian. Every week I check
right.
to make
I
sure.
check my.
I be checking mine too, and I don't see too much going on sometimes. I get, it motivates me like, all right, girl, you gotta pay something, you know. But it's good to. It's like you really have to babysit your credit if you want to see some action. And then I didn't finish this piece because this is important. So once you got your letters put together, all your information, you're ready to send it off. You have to get you have to go to the bank and get like I'm losing my train of thought. The mail. You have to make sure you're getting a receipt. You want a receipt from the
Right.
It's
You
called
want
certified.
Certified letter.
mail.
Yeah.
So
certified
that
mail.
means that they have to sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To,
That's it.
I'm sorry, I was
When
going
they
to brain
get it.
freeze. So
Yeah.
certified mail, and the reason you're doing that is because now you have a date. And the date is important because in 30 days, these businesses are supposed to respond
and if
to
they
your
respond
dispute
within
letter.
the-
If they don't, then it should be getting removed, and you're able to actually call the credit bureaus now and be like, hey, I have documentation. Even if you have to mail it to them again and say, hey, look I sent this out last month, and they never got back to me. Why is it still on my report? They're supposed to answer to you legally in 30 days.
And it's a good shot that they won't answer at this day and time because they backed up.
Yeah,
You
so
know, so they
sometimes it
backed
could
up
work
'cause
in
of
your
the COVID,
benefit. Like,
you know?
a lot of times it will work in your benefit. The businesses, they don't be like responding in time, and they got the credit bureau will remove them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, so you definitely want to, you
get the
know,
certified mail.
if you got inaccuracies or any falsehood on your credit report, dispute it.
So,
You know,
so like me as a business man, like I use my credit mostly for my business.
Yeah.
Right? You know
you
what
use
I'm
your
saying?
personal credit for your business.
I am because I mean that's
Yeah.
I don't have business credit, so I don't even know how to get business
Yeah,
credit.
well,
you know
that's
what
a
I'm
whole
saying?
nother
That's
subject.
a whole nother.
You
He gonna have to come
Because-
back here and break
because
that down.
because that's
he's good with that.
this is what I'm because most people are just using regular credit. But
Yeah.
what I understand is that if you're using credit to buy things that you're gonna make money off is
Yeah.
the best way to use credit because you're using someone else's money to make a profit.
Yeah.
So now you're taking your profit, you're paying back the credit,
Yeah.
and the whole time you've been making money, profit off of the credit. But what is the everyday person? How does the everyday person that is not in business, how do they actually benefit from using credit? Like,
You
Because
know.
you can get a house, you can get some big, you can get some.
Yeah,
some
yeah. I
food.
mean,
Okay.
you could get things that you wasn't able to get with cash, but you also wanna, realize that you don't want to put yourself in a hole neither. Some people might have a $10,000-$20,000 credit card and really believe that $20,000 is their money.
And you go crazy.
And it goes
then
crazy.
the
using
now-
it, buying this,
the
buying that.
interest
They
rates.
start living above their means.
Right. That's what I'm trying to get at because eventually
Oh.
it is above your means.
Yeah.
Once you
now,
have so
and
much
now
credit.
when you paying what you can pay every month, you only paying enough for the interest.
Right. So
fees.
it's like let's say boom, you got a $10,000 credit, right? But you're using 1,000, then another 1,000, then another 1,000, but you're only paying the minimum every time.
You shouldn't be paying no
Eventually,
minimum.
you putting yourself in a
That's
hole.
where they
Exactly.
trick you with that minimum, because that's where I started off. I had a little express card, And I was like, minimum what? $10? Like,
Word.
what?
But then you're like kind
and
of
you don't even see
using
your
up-
money go down because you're not even touching your
Right,
interest.
so now you're like at 90%
For your
usage
balance.
or
So
whatever.
basically what you doing in a nutshell is that you showing the bank that you're not responsible with other people's money. So now you might try to go to another bank and they be like, nah. And they denied you because you're irresponsible using Chase's money. Even though they competitions, they still friends.
Right.
Credit is important when you're trying to get, like, cause I'm big on home ownership right now, like ownership,
Right.
like, and that credit
Property.
plays a big part because they
Right,
look
right.
at your debt to income ratio. So how much you're owing versus how much you're bringing in. That's
Yeah.
basically how it goes.
So let's just say you bringing in 30,000, right, a year, but you owe 10,000 in credit cards. That's not good.
You're not gonna
But
pay
if you
it.
have a high, but if you
That
have
the
a
income ratio is high,
credit limit
you know.
that's really high and you're just utilizing it responsibly, stuff is gonna work in your benefit, cause now the bank's thinking, okay, in the event of emergency, Treece got a $10,000 credit card, she can go buy a furnace.
And you could, and
You feel me?
if you
Like,
use
they
it
wanna know
responsibly,
that
you
you
could get
got-
loans.
Yeah.
Like, you could get, like, kinda like any loan you really want,
Right.
you know, because you showing that with other people's money that you know how to pay it back.
Yeah,
Cause
I'm-
that's what the name,
I'm
that's
just-
all they
And
want,
with business
is you to
credit,
use their
that's,
money and pay
that's
it back.
like, your personal credit, you kinda wanna have some good credit too with your personal credit, so you're doing the right thing by establishing your personal
Yeah,
credit.
so when you do
So
go,
when you do go for,
and to get the business credit, it would be a
they're gonna
smooth-
pull you, they're
yeah.
gonna pull your personal credit.
Oh,
A lot of people think they don't do that, but they do that. So now if you got a good credit score, your personal credit score, then you should be able to get a good line of credit. For you as a business owner, I would definitely recommend, getting you, starting off with you get your, business account through a bank. And then go for you a business credit, a business line of credit.
Yeah, cause I'm just trying to see like what would be the end goal. Like a lot of average everyday people that really don't have a lot of ambition
Yeah.
are getting into credit, you know what I'm saying, and be having credit. So it's like so you should have a plan of what you're gonna ultimately do with your high credit.
So
If you're
basically,
gonna buy a house
Yeah.
or
so
Say you
basically,
got 100,000, you could spend 10,000 of that and still be under your 30% ratio.
right.
And you could pay on that 10,000 just like boom, 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 boom,
yeah,
so you
but to
get more
get to that
flex.
100,000,
Yeah.
It's not as hard as you think though.
well, you could get to the
You can get to
100,000.
the
You could get
100,000.
to the 100,000 with different credit cards and
Heck yeah.
combine that 100,000, because when they do your overall utilization, they combine all your credit cards together. Now that banking institution, or such as Chase, Navy Federal, Citizens, or Bank of America, and you got all them credit cards, of course they gonna look at what you owe on each card on their card in order for them to give you a credit limit increase. Now,
And you can use one credit
and they
card.
might
if you have
do
one
it,
credit
they
card.
do it, they usually do it every
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean-
get cash or loans, like,
Yeah.
It's called cash advance. So say
Right,
for
right.
example,
Mhm.
you got a $20,000 Navy Federal, right? And your cash advance is what, 30%? So they might be like, yo, 6,900, 6,500 that you could take out cash, but the interest rate is gonna be higher because you took out cash.
Right,
So it might be at 25%
what if
interest
you
rate
use that to
that
pay
you
off
gotta
all your
pay
other
back.
credit cards?
But
Now your thing's going
you,
up.
how about if you don't
You
just
feel me?
how about if you don't do a cash advance and you just use the credit card to pay them on the credit card?
You could,
I mean,
yeah, that's what people
It's like
do.
the-
That's
I'm
how
saying,
you,
but the cash advance is just you
Getting
grabbing
cash.
actual cash where they're gonna
So you could
send
do
it to your bank account or something like
man,
Okay,
that.
I
let's
pay
just-
them with their money. That's
so
what I
okay,
do.
let's just
I
say
started finessing with their money, and I might have a nice loan right
That's
now
right.
that I got,
Right,
but my
right.
credit cards is
Right.
where they need to be, and I'm
That's-
getting increased.
And that's what I'm thinking.
so
that
That's-
you might
so
need to
let's
do.
just say you got 4 cards that got $20,000 limit, and you know out of each cash advance is 6,500, right? And your goal is to buy a house, but you don't got the cash, but you got the credit.
So you could take the cash.
So say they like, we need you to put 30,000 down, right? and you could take the 6,500 from each card, right, and put it down on the house. Now you got down payment for your house,
Using it.
and you got $30,000 in equity on your home.
Right.
So you could, pay it off, stop paying it off, and then stop paying the cards one by one.
So that it's just like,
So it's you helping raise your credit score with something that you never had physically by being responsible.
I love it. I was scared of credit for a long time.
I just
So
got into
Mike
it
became my
1 year
partner,
ago.
and he started
I
teaching
didn't
me
even
all
know.
these tricks.
I thought that I couldn't even get
You
credit.
need Navy
Yeah.
Federal. If you
And
can
then
get
somebody
Navy
put me on,
Federal,
get the secure card.
Yeah.
And
No
once I
credit is
started
better
doing
than
that-
bad credit, because when you don't really have no credit,
Exactly. I didn't have
you
no
got
credit.
really like a
Started.
thin profile, but you could build that profile.
Mhm.
And you could build it in so many different ways. You could go to authorized user and a secured. And then they got this company called Self Lender, whereas you can put $1,000 or $1,500 or $500, whatever you choose, and it goes just like a secure card. And and every month they taking the money out your account. So say you got a $5,000 personal loan, but you never using the loan. It's just a tactic to help you build your credit, because you want to have different forms of you want to have an installment loan, which is an auto or personal loan. You want to have your credit card. You can even use retail, but I really don't use retail. I just use the credit card and the installment loan.
Retail, you mean like Macy's?
That's
and
banks,
stuff
yeah,
like
stuff like
gas
that.
cards is good now.
Gas
Gas cards is good too.
that? See, I
I mean,
don't have a
gas-
gas
Shell.
card, and I should. Like
That's with Shell. And then let me tell you about Shell. You could get so many points dealing with Shell. Shell's really good. Like if you have a Planet Fitness, Dunkin' Donuts, what else? And Stop and Shop, and you utilize them apps, each one of them, you can start earning points. For every 100 points, you get 10 cents off a gallon. So
Let's just say you use
I'm-
I mean,
1,000
I'm
points a
only,
month.
I'm only ward member of Shell, but I don't have a card.
Yeah.
see, if you got
So-
a card, you can even get it through your business. Get a business card through them.
I know, but what isn't that gonna give me a hit? I'm like,
Nah.
It's not a hit like
Nah,
you think. It's gonna also boost you though.
Nah, it ain't gonna.
You get the
No, I'm
inquiry.
saying the inquiry.
No, it ain't gonna give you an inquiry. The only
For-
thing
for
that will
Shell?
give you really an inquiry on
It's
when you
like-
start building business credit is when you go for that financial institution card. So say you dealing
Oh, we're
with
talking
Chase.
about business. I was talking about personal,
So,
but for your
then that's
business
when-
Shell, like
They
we
got
have a
the-
Shell card,
Yeah, they got a Shell business
and it's
personal.
powerful because I get I'm about to get like $1 off my gas because because I go to Stop and Shop. I use all them coupons my mama taught me how to clip, and then boom, every Stop and Shop matches you. So if you spend $80, you get 80 points. So say you spend $100, you get 100 points. So then that's for every 100 points that you get, you could transfer it over to your Shell card. Well, to your Shell points. So then it's boom,
Right.
10 cents off the
So
gallon.
I've been losing out every time I go to Stop and Shop. They say,
Yes.
can you put a card in for me?
Yeah, somebody
Listen,
but the store
They getting the
clerks
points.
get the
The
points.
store's getting the points.
Like this lady who worked at the gas station at Shell's and want to put me on. She's like, when people don't use their cards, like we just take the points. Like they just take the points, so they're eating off of it. And then if you get like $1, $2 off a gallon, like that's a huge thing.
That's a huge thing.
So then you'll link your Planet Fitness, but you guys don't go to Planet Fitness. You go to
Yeah.
LA Fitness. Better step it up. They might have some
We're
too.
not on the planet. We're just in LA.
I don't know. They might have some too, but you link them, and like you have to try to find ways to save money
Right.
so that you could use that money to do other things like pay a credit card bill. So that's just like another, like the Shell cards, I think is a powerful card, I guess.
Yeah.
Because right now you're gonna,
And
if you already know you're gonna spend the money, get the credit card and put it on the credit card.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know you're gonna need gas, so you're gonna pay $40 for gas anyways. So spend it on a credit card, then
100,
pay it.
80.
Yeah, that's a way to build. If you already know you're gonna be using it, why not have a credit card and just put it on a credit card?
Right.
Yeah. So,
That's the
so
gas
you know,
card.
that's like, you know, how to build your credit, the components of it, and you know,
Yeah.
you just wanna know if you don't got no credit, which way to go to build it.
How about if your credit been bad for like 3-4 years and you ain't been paying nothing, but then you want to kind of change everything around and you want to get everything together.
I mean, you still
How
good because you still get a secure card.
And you start
can
the
still
credit
get a
process. You
secure
get it.
card.
You get
And
it.
you
Secure card.
card
Your
start
own
process
money.
again?
Yeah.
You gotta.
Even if you messed up with a secured card before?
Yeah, because it's different.
It's
It's
just
different
different
institutions
places.
got
It's a different
different.
bank, because I messed
Yeah.
up with a secure card with Bank of America many years ago, like 10-15 years ago or whatever.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It was my money, obviously, but I
Yeah.
didn't pay it back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then they're like, you need.
I mean, the same. I mean, the same thing
Like,
happened to me.
But it happens
with
to
Bank of
all of us
America.
when we get that credit card. You be like, what? Like, I didn't even know the difference between credit and debit at one point, and I was just like, you go to the cashier, it's like credit or debit. I'm like, credit, you know, debit, whatever I felt like saying at the time, because it wasn't something that we was taught.
Right,
So
right,
then you
right.
look and you're like, dang, like
And
I
really,
started off owing them 100, now I'm up to 300 because of the interest,
like
just late fees and
Like,
all this other stuff.
even when you're
accumulating.
dealing with debit versus credit, you know, you want to ask yourself who money you want to use, their money where you could get rewards for it, or your money.
Right. No,
You know,
Every
you
time
know
you
you're
know
gonna
you're
pay it
gonna use
back.
money, just use your card and then pay the card. It's like
You're
you know
gonna
what I
pay it
mean.
back.
You got
Right.
it's a mind thing.
There's
like,
really no benefit, to be honest. There's really no benefit on using debit. You don't get no reward. You don't get nothing.
Right.
You just get money extracted out of your account immediately.
So what if how about when you go to they ask you debit or credit, but it's really a debit card, and you
Yeah.
still say credit? What happens then?
then you're gonna get declined if you don't got no line of credit.
No, I'm saying like
Oh.
sometimes you go and use your card,
Mhm.
and I might use my debit card, right?
Yeah.
And put it in, and it says credit or debit, but sometimes they'll ask you credit or debit, and you just
If
say
you don't
credit,
have-
but it's
It's a debit
your
card.
bank, but it's
Yeah.
a debit
Debit.
card.
Yeah.
So,
I mean-
it still goes through
Yeah.
But it's
But it's going
debit.
through as a debit.
as a debit.
They
Yeah.
they ask you that, but if you ain't got no credit, you ain't. It ain't
Right.
ain't
It's
nothing
just
gonna
taking the
happen.
money.
It's just taking the money
off
out
the
your
bank.
debit.
Okay.
A lot of times they will ask you that
Yeah,
as
I
a
wanted
debit
to
or
know
credit.
was it different because they be asking me. It's like
And
man,
credit, they
card,
should be
so
at,
they
like
ask.
getting your ID, like your license or something, or you're making sure you're entering,
They never ask for it.
Yeah.
or looking at the back for your signature. There's a lot of things that they just aren't
They're
doing,
not doing it no more.
you know. But you should be really mindful, like to block your card at the ATM machines. Now there's this thing that's inside of the ATM machines which could actually, what's it called?
Card
Yes.
reader, it's like a
Yeah.
card reader.
Yeah,
scan
card
on-
reader.
yeah.
So they're like putting these things
Yeah, I've seen that.
inside.
And then, like,
Yeah, and they're taking all your information. So my thing is, like, if you're making big purchases or something, you should always try to use your credit card, because there's a lot of
protection.
protection with credit cards versus debit. A lot of times they will give you your money back for the debit, but with credit there's like the bank insures their money, but with credit, like you
Yeah.
like, you know.
And they got that.
See, you could refute it. Like if somebody used your credit card, you could refute that. Debit, hey,
Right.
you might.
Sometimes
Your money's gone. I don't know
your
how you
money's
lost that
gone,
money,
really.
yo.
I mean,
You
it's just
used
like
it.
you ain't
Somebody used
protected.
it, but
yeah, they
Yeah.
put you in for like a 30-day investigation
You
sometimes.
might not get it back.
You might not get your money back.
With credit, they be like, ah.
So when I do things overseas or like I just use my credit, because I know, like, you can always, you know how people do that. Like sometimes people will order stuff and be like, I don't want it, and they'll give you your money back or something like that. It's because they use
Yeah.
credit.
So you definitely want to be responsible with your credit.
That's the main thing,
That's
right?
the main
Money
thing. is
talks,
being responsible.
credit walks. You walk in with that credit card, restaurant, bam, like
Everywhere. Hey, man,
everywhere.
my-
Don't get you a platinum one.
Hey,
and
my
wait
moves
till
have
it be
changed
nice.
a lot ever since I
Yeah.
started doing this.
And also, remember, you want to get a credit card that got good reward points, because each time you're using it, so you might get 5 points out of every dollar that you spend for groceries, 4 points for restaurants, 3 points for travel, and then a point for every other purchase, clothes or whatever. So if you got 3 credit cards and you know that the Chase one is 5 points for groceries, And every time you go shopping, use your Chase card.
Let's pay it off.
Just for that.
Yeah, so
Just
you
for
gotta
that.
really pay attention to that.
Yeah.
What are the rewards of
Rewards.
each card?
Yeah.
And
The
play
interest
to the
rates, the
rewards.
terms and conditions, and any other additional
That's
fees.
just like, for example, with me. If I go grocery shop, I know I get 5 points out of Chase, right? I'm using my Chase card. I'm not using my Navy Federal where I only get 3 points for groceries. Like, why would I use that
Man,
card?
that's what I've been doing.
And
I've
that
been
card
using
even have a
credit
higher
for
limit.
like,
But
about
I'd
2
rather
years.
use the Chase.
and just
And
paying
then
it
I
with my
pay it
money.
off, you know.
Paying it with my money, and getting increase.
So I'm benefiting from not using my debit. I'm benefiting from using the rewards on.
Right.
And my
And then in an
rewards,
event
once
of
they add
emergency, what
up,
if you have a big emergency and you need to pay something real big? You know what I
have
mean?
to
Now
pay
you
it
got
right
that
then
line
and
of
there.
credit, and you know you might not even be able to pay, but God forbid, like you
Right,
needed that
right,
money
right,
for
right.
something important.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you could just be like, boom, like
You ain't gotta call
I
the
got
family,
it. You ain't
Yeah.
gotta call nobody. You got that line of credit. Like it makes you. It's like a
It's
blanket.
power.
yeah,
It is.
If you use it the way that
you
It's
supposed
designed
to
to
use
be
it.
used,
Then you go then. But if you don't, then you
or
like
you
silver,
go down.
you know, bronze or whatever, you know, you ain't gold.
Mhm.
So, you know, you want to make sure that you're using it responsibly, and you got the right mix of credit cards. You know, like when I had a Capital One. They started me off with 300, then they raised it to like 600, and then like 1,000, and then now it's like
Start
35.
telling all your business.
No, I'm just
man. This is
giving
credit
examples.
king right here.
I'm
You-
just giving
We're gonna
examples.
come back and do a business.
No, I'm just giving
A business
examples.
credit,
Because Capital
yeah.
One, they known to only
Mhm.
give you a $300 limit.
yeah,
They
American,
don't even care what
American
you
Express
score,
gives you some
yeah.
big, some good money too.
Yeah.
American, what's
I
it?
got the
It's
Delta.
American
I got the
Express, right?
Delta America.
But you can't use it everywhere.
You got the
Can't use
Delta American Express.
everywhere.
Did you know that now that you got an American Express card, that each time that you
I don't like American
Each-
Express.
each-
They give you
nah,
good money,
American
but
Express
you can't
is-
use it
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
though.
but they the best
Right,
because now
But you can't use it everywhere,
each
yeah.
time you apply for another American Express card, they don't give you no inquiry
Okay.
at all.
Because you already got.
Yeah.
You already
Yeah,
But
but
every other
sometimes
bank
you
do
be
it.
trying to go
System.
somewhere and you be ordering all this stuff, and they be like, "Oh, we don't accept American Express."
Yeah, but you got like
Yeah.
10 credit cards. So why you can't?
no. Eat it.
I mean, so
I get
American
nervous.
Express, I think they're the best because they got the black card.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't get no better than a black card. You know,
Yeah,
so you
how high
building
do you
yourself
have to-
up.
How high do you have to get a black card? What do you-
It's criteria, you know. Like you gotta,
You have to have like.
yeah, you got a lot of money in
a
the
certain
bank.
net worth.
You know, like a lot of athletes and a lot of
We don't got no
movie
black card.
stars
Don't let 'em fool you.
and hip hop artists usually have black cards. You know, but it's different criteria. You know, but it's
Different level.
attainable because they look at relationships. So if you in the Amex family, you know they gonna rock with you.
What's the Amex family? What's that?
American
mean?
American
American
Express.
Express. So
Oh,
basically,
He loves them.
you building with the all their products.
Mhm.
You know, so them. you
Chase
know,
got good credit cards.
Chase got like
The
one of
best.
the best
The
credit
best,
cards.
one of the best
They got
credit
well, Chase got a good top tier credit cards called Sapphire, but now Capital One got one that might be better than Chase. It's called Venture X, and everybody's hooting and hollering and raving
See, I
about
don't be
the
knowing all
perks
this
that
stuff.
that
I'm
they
learning too,
giving.
y'all.
So a lot of people, you know, even you could look it up on YouTube. They
Mhm.
saying the Venture X is taking over from what the Chase Sapphire, because the Chase Sapphire, the bonus points might be 100,000 points, which is like $2,500 cash back after 90 days. So, but you got to spend over 4,000. So let's just say you spend 4,000 in 1 month, they're gonna give you that 100,000 points, and after 90 days, you could use them points for whatever you want. It's $2,500 worth. You can use it for travel. You could use it for cash back and take the $2,500 cash and pay off the
You gotta do a
4,000.
business
You
credit.
feel me?
That got me excited right now.
So-
I'm about to take over this
So
credit.
even the Amex Platinum, it's competition with the Sapphire and the other Capital One Rich X.
Hi.
So,
Welcome to Money Talk Tuesdays, every Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m.
For real?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, bro.
So
Want a smoothie?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just let me know what you want. I got you right now.
What's one of the best ways? I mentor kids from 10 to 24 boys,
Yeah.
inner city kids. What's the best way that I can introduce them to credit at 10 years old so that by the time they get 18, they won't be influenced by the predatory credit union stuff? Like, I want them to be set by the 10.
I mean, like understanding the chemical makeup of what
Invite
makes
them.
up
We'll
your
talk
credit
to them.
score.
We'll come out and talk to the kids.
Your credit score, the chemical makeup of it.
You gotta educate them,
You know,
because if
it's-
you just give the kids a credit card, they're gonna go off. Like,
That's what I'm trying to say.
Because
So
they
I
ain't-
educate them.
They ain't used to having it, but if you show them through
The main
like
ingredient for this one, this is the ginger, bro.
like
Try
trial
to
and
not put
error,
too much in it.
I
Just
might
enough
say,
for you to
through
feel
trial and error,
the
then
Alright,
they
guys.
would be more
Thanks.
responsible.
Peace.
You gotta like trial and error. That's what everything in life, you know. So teach them through a store card,
Give you a loyalty
a retail card, you know.
I was thinking about getting them, like they had these like cards for kids that you could monitor how they use it or whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting them that just to see how that works. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sent it on Cash App?
I have a book, it's called Boss Baby Seeds, it's a children's book
Cash,
that I wrote, and it's an introduction to financial literacy for kids, so I'm starting real young
Where's
with,
that book at?
I've
We
been-
left it at home,
I
but
was pissed
Can we
too.
order it?
Yeah, it's Boss Baby Seeds,
Yeah.
so I'm starting the kids really young,
Boss
and
Baby.
Boss Baby Seeds. Like ABCs,
Oh,
Boss
Boss
Baby
Baby
Seeds,
Seeds.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have a
Yeah, I do
mascot,
appreciate
Hustle the
it. I got a
Husky, to come
question.
out and we, educate the kids and
We teach them about credit, teach them about financial literacy.
so it's like A to Z terminology, like, and even some adults, like, who are, they're learning with their children, so it's a really powerful movement. But you gotta think, like, our kids are like sponges, they'll grasp what you give to them, they'll engage if it's something that is relatable and, it's somebody that they could trust and they admire and are inspired by. So someone like you, if, you know what I mean? If they look up to you and they respect your judgment, all you gotta do is educate yourself and bring it down to them. Because they're gonna get it from you more than they're gonna pay attention from anybody on YouTube or, you know what I mean? That's
they
how
got their
children
trust
work.
in you already.
You know what I mean? So the more that you know, and
That's what they traveled all the way from Boston.
you drop a jewel on them and walk them through the process, but start them off slow. You don't wanna, like you said, get that credit card. I can't, and I heard of the credit card, but I can't think of it off the top of my head, but with the children's books that we have, we develop money packets, which come with like fake credit cards and cash, and we teach the little ones about, how to pay back and loans. So part of understanding credit, I think with the children, what you might wanna do is get that play money or something and task them. You can do it with fake money, task them or something like, like hold on to this, whoever got this at the end of the month, or like you gotta try and find some creative way so that it's not hurting them in the end. And that's what we developed with the money packets for the kids. Like we give the kids the money in the beginning of the class. We know they're gonna fool around and play around. It might be throwing money to the neighbor, kids rip it up, tear it up. But we reward them at the end of the session, like, okay, who got their money? Give it back. That was a loan. And then you'll see, they'll be like, dang, I gave this one my money. She did tell me she was gonna, that I had to give it back. I wasn't paying attention. Or like, who got that $100 bill? You get some cake. And then they're looking like, I lost my fake money. And they're pouting and crying or whatever the case may be. But that's how you gotta deal with kids, like you said, trial and error. You gotta kind of like let them learn from a mistake, but not
A real mistake.
a real mistake.
Or if you wanna like build their credit, you could go to authorized user route, but not give them the card.
Yeah, you can always do that too.
The key to that is that you don't wanna give that person a card because they might go crazy and it mess up
My
your
son
credit.
don't even know he's an authorized user.
See, I think that's where I would have to have
Involve their
another
parents.
workshap where you'd have to train the parents so
Yeah.
the
Oh,
parents could be the authorized users
Yeah.
that do that for their kids.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
That's how it
But
goes.
My mother don't like to co-sign.
Yeah, a lot of mothers don't. But it don't really
lot
gotta
of
be your
mothers
parents.
don't.
It don't gotta be
They
your
don't.
parent. It could be anybody. I can authorize using you. You know, but I'm not gonna give you my card. You know, it's simple. You just call up. I would like to add such my authorized
Don't nobody
user.
wanna co-sign no one because it's about trust. That's how the banks feel when they're giving you these credit cards. That's why they be like,
But she
let me see your
co-signed, she
credit.
co-signed my whip though back in the day.
Okay.
And I paid off 3.
And that looks good on your credit report too. Whenever you pay off like a car, that will boost you up. That's that's an installment loan.
Once you pay it off, initially it take a dip because that account was closed.
Right.
But then it, and like a couple months later, it rises back up higher than what it was.
Now you're debt to
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking. I finished paying off my van, so is my credit gonna go up? Are they
It's
gonna
gonna
say,
go
"Look,
down
you paid
first.
this Thing off, you know.
Because whenever you close
'cause it's a
lines of
closed-
credit,
Okay.
And it's gonna go down. It might go down 20 points. Like I
you be
paid
like,
off
dang, like
installment
Bills go
loan.
up probably 50.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'll go up.
and it went down like
Yeah, my thing be going up and down.
Yeah.
It fluctuates.
In the 6s.
Yeah.
I haven't been
But when
able
you're
to
going
crack
for a
the
house,
7
don't
yet.
play with no credit. Like
Yeah,
whenever you
right.
like this is
You're gonna get-
probably has nothing
No,
to do
I
with
know,
it. But
because
since we're talking
I'm-
about credit, when you go for your pre-approval, you get your pre-approval from that point on forward. And even 60 days before you go for your pre-approval, you want to make sure you're not getting any inquiries or anything on your credit report. All your bills are like paid down to a reasonable amount, because remember they're gonna look at that debt to ratio
thank you.
income, and also be mindful that
Right.
if you're looking, if you do that in the process, you're not gonna get, once they pull your credit at the end, they want it to stay the same. Basically, they want to know that when I pre-approved you for $400,000, you had this credit score, you didn't owe this, you didn't owe this, you didn't owe this, you didn't have no inquiries. Then if you come to me once it's time for closing, now you got all this stuff, now you're in a tough
Okay, so
spot.
when you go to closing, they're like
Now they do the
deep dive.
They're diving in deep. Like, they want to make sure that everything is up to par. But usually, before you get your pre-approval, they're going to look like 2 months back into your bank history. You don't want to have nothing negative in there. You don't want to have like anybody giving you huge lump sums of money, because then you have to explain how you got this and all this other stuff. So that's it, guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
Any other questions?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned a lot.
Credit. The thing about credit is that you learn, but you can never learn enough.
I know. We always watch.
I mean, obviously, because I thought I already knew a lot,
Yeah.
and then now talking to you guys is like
I learned a lot just from sitting next to him. Some good credit cards, and we be together all the time.
You wanna.
Yeah. So.
You just want to get your credit score up there, pay the less interest rate, be responsible with it, and help others build theirs. That's it. Like we wasn't taught that. The minorities wasn't taught that
they don't.
coming up. Our parents wasn't taught that. So I can't expect or be mad at my mother for not teaching me that, because she didn't know
She
that.
didn't know, and nobody.
And that's what is wrong with a lot of people. I feel like my age group, like they hold all these
Generation
grudges, and they be mad at their parents, like they didn't teach us this. But people don't know what they don't know.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So now it's time for you to take advantage, break those generational mishaps, curses, whatever you want to call them, and
Because I recognize that my parents didn't teach us, but I realized that it's because they didn't know.
They didn't know, like,
what I'm
if-
saying?
But you gotta
You
come
gotta
to a
realize,
place of
too.
maturity when you
Right.
Yeah.
when
but
that resonates in you, like, cause sometimes I ain't gonna lie, sometimes like, dang, why didn't nobody tell me about like school loans, for example, like that I should have been trying to get grants and scholarships, but my mother was just so
Right.
happy
And
to see that I
that's what I do with my
graduated, like,
kids, is
Yeah.
like,
you know what I
Yo, we
mean,
want
and that was big for her, but it wasn't enough
Yeah,
for me,
definitely.
like
We don't wanna
watching
pay.
other people around. So it's like, hello.
We don't realize the other stresses that was going on for them,
Welcome to
Yeah,
Money
they
Talk
had-
Tuesdays every Tuesday from 6
It
So
wasn't
if
p.m. to 8
even.
p.m.
They had to fight for education. They wasn't taught to read and write.
So let's just take, for example,
Came a long way.
say your mother's on welfare, you growing up, your mother's on welfare your whole childhood. Who you think would teach her about credit? No one even taught her how to get off welfare. So somebody ain't gonna teach her about credit. Like,
She has no business out getting credit.
now she know about credit, then like, yo, why you still on welfare?
Exactly.
It ain't adding up. You know, so you always want to be mindful, and once you get the knowledge, share the knowledge.
Right.
You know, you don't want to just hold on to it. A lot of minority, but I don't want to teach them.
Yeah.
They look at it as
It
competition.
don't
but
even make no
it's not.
sense. We
Each
have to
one
create
teach
a
one.
better
Each one teach
society.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You can't better yourself and the society's still shit.
That's
Yeah.
why
You know what
I
I'm
like
saying?
to come and build
Peace,
with
bro.
people.
You better in the
Like,
community.
Learn.
Yep, you better in the
Peace,
community.
bro. Nice
Hey,
to meet
peace.
you.
Peace.
Mike.
Right.
Yeah,
He's our co-worker.
Oh, okay.
bro.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob. Well,
So-
I think they recorded it somewhere.
Yeah, he'll watch it. It's over.
Oh man, what?
He's about to get comfortable.
We'll be back.
I know,
I
right?
confused it with. I confused it. Oh, watch out behind you.
Hello, hey.
going on?
What's that, handsome?
How you doing, man?
Chilling,
Oh,
man.
I appreciate it.
Another day, another dollar. Just love the energy.
Man, you
Man.
know that business credit stuff. Oh, this is some extra, just some envelopes and some of
Yeah,
them.
we'll be back.
You know, just in case somebody wanna tap
Peace.
How you
in.
doing,
I'm on Mike.
Johnny? How you doing?
Signing out.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody that
Personal
tuned
business.
in.
Yeah, I'll come back and see you.
Yeah, we gotta
Money
get
Talk Tuesdays at Southside Smoothie.
money talk, but
Every
pay
Tuesday,
Yeah.
6 to 8. You heard me say
Everything goes down here. Everything goes down here.
You guys, what you got for Seymour from there?
Right now, we got everything.
Thanks, Crook. You are a
Hey, you got
blessing
the
to the
spirulina
community.
infused.
It's a pleasure all the
We got the
time.
elderberry.
Black excellence. That,
Organic.
Yeah.
Organic
This is a
excellence.
new
Yeah.
spirulina.
Natural
If
excellence.
that's what we call it.
Yeah,
This is the
yeah.
elderberry right here. These are all 35. What's this one again?
That's the purple Seymour. This is
Oh, you gotta tell us, explain
That's the
that
purple
law.
Seymour.
That law
Which
that
one?
happened that
This
we
is the
can't,
purple sea moss right here.
With the
we
elderberry?
can't transport.
No, this is just actual purple sea moss, like the actual color.
That they say
Yeah,
you
the
can't
natural-
This is what
transfer.
he's saying. You
Yeah,
can't go over
yeah.
state
Oh,
lines.
is it?
It's the Irish
Is the
one.
Irish one? Okay, yeah, I
And then
just
the
didn't
white
know.
one's the
It's all about the
Caribbean.
label.
The Caribbean one.
It's over there. I can't
This
wait.
wait.
Should've came in for it.
I have no idea why they be
That's
doing
the purple Seymour.
This is the
I
purple.
love
Oh,
it.
here, let me-
This goes for 30.
That's
Which one's
supposedly
this?
that's what.
Wait,
what-
oh,
what-
we don't know what
Elderberry
this
with
That's
the
what
rest.
FDA.
That's a good question.
FDA don't like to approve Seymour.
So this one, is this with the purple sea moss with it, or is that the
It's
white,
with the gold.
the gold one?
Yeah.
The gold sea moss.
Alright,
Yeah.
Girl can't buy drugs.
so then we get the purple
That I
You wanna get the
forgot
purple
it.
sea moss?
Oh.
Yeah. This is a official right
I
there.
bought it at the thing. I think that I forgot
Oh
it.
yeah, she did. Right? Some girl came and dropped something off for me.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, she got it. I was like so happy.
Are you gonna make
That's
any of
what-
the purple
that's
Seymours
what-
with the
yeah.
elderberry?
Yeah.
When I get the next batch, because I only had like a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So I was like,
Yo.
on the next batch,
Okay.
I only got a pound from this guy because he's not my normal supplier. So I was like, let me just grab 1 pound.
Credit, personal credit.
What's the reviews
You
on
want
it?
your own money.
You
can take bigger risks.
On this one,
Yeah.
I haven't had no reviews.
Hell yeah,
I had no
definitely.
sales.
And they give you higher
Money,
limits.
yeah, higher limits, right?
The
With
homie,
business credit.
the homie that supplies it, he's
Federal, they give me
listed.
50,000. Okay, so with the business credit for now,
The
it's
official,
required.
you know what I'm saying?
I really have
So I
an
guess he
LLC.
trusts the source.
What's these, 30 or 35?
LLC.
Oh,
You know, of course, they're gonna,
so
give you
already
an
got
increment
that.
on your personal
Well,
credit card. They want your personal credit.
I don't know,
Yeah,
check this
sir.
out.
Yeah.
When you
So,
do
say for
when you do
example,
purple with
your
the
personal credit is
elderberry,
like
I
680.
wanna grab that too.
purple with the elderberry, the purple sea moss with elderberry. Can I take your number down so that I can just call you when we have it?
So you
Yep.
can get-
Alright, cool.
Nice.
But definitely, we'll definitely be back.
We gotta take a picture before we go.
Dallas Smoothies, before.
Of course.
Okay,
Oh, what's my phone?
So the main thing, you want to build your personal credit, so
I got something.
and use that money for insurance credit. Never use it for something. You feel me?
Yo, sure. I appreciate you
Peace.
coming out.
Okay, yup.
Appreciate
Definitely.
it.
Nice
Thank you for
meeting
coming
you.
out.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Crook,
Yo, you already know.
I'll tap in with you, brother.
No, you through?
Let me know when that elderberry comes through. Rock.
I got you.
Peace, bro.
Peace, peace.
Get 2 screws.
I saw that.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah,
this
I'm
was-
I'm smooth, bro. I'm always gonna be smooth. Since I was out, my mom's with JJ.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
we'll
Joe,
take a
it's
picture
actually
with the
smooth.
smoothie.
Yeah, I
guys.
came out of it.
Oh, we didn't take the picture.
That's
I got
okay.
the camera.
I didn't get fist pump
Thanks for the smoothie.
anytime.
What's this?
Let's take a picture real quick.
I don't know,
Adam.
that shit look
Yo.
good, right?
What's that?
Hey, wait. Ask him to come back in. Ask him to come back
That's
in.
a remix?
Yo,
That's what
Call
the
him, call him.
strawberry.
You can
Ribbon
show
guys.
him.